How's it going, everybody? I think this might be take 105. I'm going to be walking you guys through the project that I've been working on for the past few months. Essentially, it's taking the project management tools that I've been using for personal projects and building it out in a more insightful and intuitive way while pulling in my Whoop data. So I can just walk through essentially how I use it, what the pillars are that I've built out, and showcase a little bit of the functionality that I have here. So I have two pillars here. I have health, which is focused on more of my day-to-day and a larger scope of my Whoop data, as well as development, which is focused on my workouts as well as projects. If I jump into it, the first thing you'll see here is the today page. So I have today, week, month, year, and memories. And I'll go through each of these one by one just to showcase what I have built out here. So right here, I have just a breakdown. It's essentially pulling the same thing that Whoop would tell me. I have my recovery score going into today, strain leading up to this point, and my sleep data from last night, along with like smaller metrics from the Whoop API that I just pulled in here. For my tasks, this right here will complete as I work through the day, as well as showcase a streak of how many times in a row consecutively I've completed that task. I also have the ability to change the frequency of what tasks I want to complete for myself, and that will populate on those specific days. As you can see, there's auto set up on some of these. Essentially, I'm trying to figure out the best ways to automate the completion of these tasks from Whoop syncs. So hours of sleep, whether or not a workout was completed, some of the recovery things that I do will also populate on here as completed on its own. Creative work I have completed based on did I complete a project task, and journal is auto completes if I write something here. It says it's completed, but I deleted what I wrote here for the purpose of this video because I don't really want anyone to see what I did today. Cool. The due today portion is project focused. So if I have a project task that I'm working on or project tasks that are upcoming, it will all populate here. I can easily check these off as I work through them, but still grinding through this video, trying to get it done. So I have to, so I can't check this off yet. The right-hand side, I have journal, which allows me to showcase, exactly what I've done throughout the day, which is more for the AI than it is for me. Like, it's cool and all to reference what I did in a day, but I'm not necessarily going to sit down and go through my year and see, the nitty-gritty of what I did that day. It's more for the AI to understand and have some context behind why my Whoop values are the way they are, when I worked out, what I did throughout the day, why I might have missed certain habits. That's essentially what I've built the journal out to be. Win of the day is more for me. It's, trying to sit down and find something that I, enjoyed, or, something cool that happened that I can easily reference and look back on my year and be able to, find, enjoy some of the smaller things that happened and have a running log of that. If I scroll down here, I have a morning brief. I have this set up to run at 8 a.m. So it's essentially waiting until my sleep data is pulled in from Whoop. So when I wake up, my sleep data is processed on the Whoop side. Once the tool sees that I have my sleep data, it will trigger creating a morning brief that will pull in all my data from yesterday, as well as my data going into that morning, and create me a brief to, as you can see here, break down my readiness, my habits, training. So if I had a workout, it would give me my workouts and exercises that I should do for that workout, and give me a focus going into today. If I had more project tasks, it would focus on those, understanding when I should start those and optimize around my productivity time zones. as well as a breakdown of insights. Uh, it's cool to have this stored. Like I can easily reference any day. But I primarily use this setup for emailing me. I have notifications pushed to my phone. So when I have a morning report, I wake up, I have a morning report on my phone. I just read it when I'm, waking up, and I'll have an idea of what I should prioritize, how my body's doing, and just aggregating all the data from my Whoop data and just giving me it in a digestible manner. On the week side of things, it's taking each day and showcasing it relative to, each subsequent day for the week. I think, I have this triggered every Sunday morning, so this is a rather bad example, but if I were to go to last week, you can see how this sort of starts to come together. I can see my week stats, habit patterns, so all of the tasks that I have throughout the week and how I did completing them. Workout summaries. I have a bigger page dedicated to workouts. This is just pulling it in so I have an idea of how many workouts I completed, as well as if I go to this day today, I have a weekly brief that will walk me through. It's the same sort of premise as the today page, giving me just a breakdown of how I can action my data, but it's a little bit more comprehensive because it's spanning across all 7 days of last week and understanding how I can use that data going into this next week. This is just an overview. You can see I have it also create my training split. I'll get into that on the workout side, but all this is also summarized and emailed to me in a nice manner. On the month side of things, again, we're just increasing the complexity based on how much data I have. I have month stats, some highlights based on some peak Whoop data. I have a heat map here for days, which is essentially just my habits tracked, recovery, strain, sleep. More so just trying to visualize if there's any correlation between specific weeks and what I was doing. And if I click a day, I can easily reference and go back to that specific day and read the report, read the Whoop data, read the journal entries. I can go back to any day and see exactly what I did for that day. I have monthly goals, which I'll talk about a little bit more in depth on the year side of things. And then the same sort of premise. I have a monthly brief that pulls in all of the data from the month prior and gives me an actionable way to utilize those trends for the next month. On the year overview, I have essentially a copy paste of the month side of things, but for a larger scope amount of data for year. I have highlights, same consistency map, which I think just looks cool. And as I mentioned, I've utilized personal management tools like this for a couple of years now, and I was able to backfill all of my data and create a very comprehensive data set of all the data I have from the end of 2024 and all of 2025 leading up till now. I just got my Whoop in January, so I don't have my Whoop data spanning back that far, but I at least have all the context behind tasks I've completed and my journal entries for the AI to understand. I have yearly goals, so I can create essentially whatever I want here. Let's say I want to read 12 books. I set the bar really low for me this year, but if I set the goal as read 12 books, the AI will understand what my goal is and allocate it across however many months are left. So if it was January and I had read 12 books, it would allocate a book a month for me to complete. If I was to fail on completing that goal, it would allow me to roll over that goal into the next month. If I choose not to, it will reallocate across the rest of the available months to keep me on track to complete that goal. Down here, I have a nice breakdown of streaks, so I can see how long my habit streaks have been going on for, and if there have been previous bests, it will show me the span of the weeks that I had that on. And as I mentioned, I just got my Whoop, so yearly briefing, I haven't built out yet. I'll eventually get around to it, but it'll essentially take the previous year and summarize what I can action on a broader sense for the next year. So 2027 isn't ready for me. The next page here I have set for memories, which is essentially just a collage of uh, trips, things I've done with my friends, things that I've found enjoyable, and I've created like a photo album of that. It's more personal. I don't necessarily want to show that off to YouTube, but nice way of summarizing everything that I've done throughout the year in a like a global sense. Next, I have the development side of things. So I have this broken down by projects, workouts, calendar, analytics, and library. So on the projects page, right now I only have 2 active projects. I have this project that I'm showcasing and personal, which is just general tasks. I have a few ways that I visualize the amount of tasks I've completed. This is sort of just a GitHub style way of visualizing the amount of tasks I've completed on a specific day. And velocity is essentially tracking how many tasks I completed across a specific month. As you can see, I sort of petered off. I finished this project a few months ago, or a few weeks ago rather, and I just have not been, I just haven't gotten around to creating this video to show it off yet. For tasks that are upcoming, I have this up next, and I have these sections broken down to show off all the tasks that I completed. And then I have just another visualization for showing off if I set a deadline that I want to have this project completed by, it'll show from start of the project to the end where I should trend to complete those tasks versus what I've completed on my end. I also built out an AI planner. So this is directly hooked up to the Claude API. So if I have a project that I want to work on, a new development section that I want to work on, or just general things that I need to do, I can just type it into here, and the AI will auto allocate based on the active projects I have, or if it's a new project, it'll create that, and I can just ship it, and it will auto assign and create all those tasks for me, as well as put it on my calendar in an intuitive way. And what I mean by that is I've essentially backfilled my Whoop data into the AI planner so it can understand where my health data is trending, specifically my sleep scores and my recovery. So if I'm on a downtrend, it will know to maybe not put multiple tasks on one day. It'll space it out. Or if it's a larger task, it will understand to break those up into smaller tasks and span it across a larger time period. And it'll create those for me, so I don't have to do that. As much thinking as I don't have to do is great. The next thing I have here is workouts, which is personally my favorite way that I've been utilizing this tool. So every Sunday, the AI will reference my previous weeks of workout splits of what days I have allocated. So right now I have a couple pull days, a couple push days, and leg day. And it'll reference my calendar of what days are busy and likely not schedule a workout on those days. And it also factor in fatigue and allocate my rest days appropriately. So going into today, it set so tomorrow I have to work out. It set the workout for me and gave a little bit of insights behind why. If I were to skip to tomorrow, what would happen is the AI would select the back workout. This is essentially just a template that I created for the workout. The AI will pull this in. It will reference what I did the day before. So it's a rest day. It will pull in my recovery and sleep scores going into that day, as well as my strain from the day before, and understand how much weight I should be doing, how many sets I should be doing. If I have a high recovery, it will tell me to push a little bit harder at the gym, it'll prescribe me some higher weights. If I've been doing the same exercises, it'll understand that plateau in exercise and subscribe or prescribe me to do different exercises. It will also give me a pre-coach breakdown, which is essentially just allocating a reasoning behind why I should be doing those specific weights. Once a workout is completed, it will populate on this page automatically and check off all the tasks that are associated with that on the today page. If I were to just showcase an example here, it will auto input the sets, reps, and weights that it prescribed just to make my life a little bit easier, as well as the sequencing. So what I've tried to build out here is to have the AI understand fatigue metrics. So if I'm progressively, not able to lift as much, it should be able to understand that, okay, fatigue is playing a role here. So from top down, it should understand that over time at the gym, there's been fatigue being factored in, and I can also reinforce that by adding a note section. So although I didn't necessarily add anything here that's meaningful to the conversation I just was bringing up, I gave a little bit of context behind why I didn't reference the exact workout that it prescribed me. So down here, it will auto create a post-workout review based on performance, fatigue, compliance, progress, and recovery. So it will give me all these insights behind how I did on my workout, and it will use this along with the pre-workout notes to reinforce its future workout plans. So essentially, each of these workouts has its own pre and post workout notes, and it also will track the decisions behind why it prescribed those workouts. So over time, it's getting smarter, and it will, hopefully translate in making me jacked. We'll see. But a little bit of just a breakdown. I also have the ability to filter out workouts and compare workout to workout. So I'm able to see the duration change, the change in strain, as well as the change in heart rate variability. On the calendar side, this is essentially just an easy way for me to visualize what tasks I have coming up. As I mentioned, this project's been slowed down to a crawl because I finished it, but the thing that I have to do now is just create the video. But if I go back, you can see like I've been utilizing this for staying on track with a lot of my projects. The colors in the background that you can see here are just my Whoop scores, so I can see if there's any correlation between completing more tasks and the Whoop recovery score and sleep scores from that day. I also can click and easily create a new task if I don't want to go through the AI planner. On the analytics side of things, I have just the most amount of Whoop data. I'm personally trying to figure out what the best way and best plots that I can create to leverage my Whoop as much as I can. And then if there is something actionable or insightful that I can think of from, just toying around in this like sandbox area, I would pull that into the AI platform that I'm using to reinforce a lot of my insights. Just, scrolling through here quickly, I have biometric trends, some sleep breakdowns for when I go to bed and wake up, sleep debt, and the phases of sleep and their durations, some more plots for heart rate zones for each of my workouts that I can easily toggle through and compare, as well as some correlations that I'm trying to work through on my end to find the most use between my Whoop data. And then down here, I'm also trying to figure out if there's any correlation between my Whoop data and my completion of my tasks. I also have a year breakdown, which is essentially showing the same sort of thing, just on a larger scale. But I have some other cooler plots like a spider plot here, workout distribution, and looking at my habits in a larger scope. The library is the last section I have on here. This is essentially just taking all the books that I have behind me in my library and storing them on here. Um, and each of the books that I have here also have the page that I stopped on saved. So if I were to pick up this book again, it would automatically know, okay, you stopped on page 120, and it will pick that up for me. The book that's active here will rename on the task page. So if we reference the today page, it said read grit. If I were to complete that task, it'll allow me to update the page that I ended on, and it will track the amount of pages that I read. Same applies if I switch that book out, it'll say read blank, and it follows the same workflow. But just keep myself organized with completing books because I am a subscriber to just reading a few pages and then dropping it and not knowing where I left off. So it's a way of keeping myself organized. But yeah, so that's essentially just a breakdown of what I've created here, repurposing a lot of the data that I use from Whoop and my project management software and creating this into one holistic tool that I can use. I also created a mobile version that I use that I can showcase here real quickly. It's essentially the exact same thing. It's connected to the same Vercel platform and is hosted. So I can easily complete the tasks and stay up to date on my phone. So if I'm at the gym, I can go through what workout I'm doing, the exercises I'm doing, so I don't have to sit down on my desktop and work through it on my own. But yeah, appreciate everyone who tuned in. I will have a public repo of this project if people are interested that has a Whoop version and a non-Whoop version. If people are interested, I'll eventually upload that, but if you want, early access, I can send that over if you just message me. But appreciate everyone's time if you've made it this far. And yeah, thank you.